All right, everybody. We are here live with the Offside show. And today, our special guest, we're going to get to him in just a minute. We're going to introduce the panel first. And right next to me is my good friend from the Detroit Sports Room, Tim Becker. What's up, buddy?
Hey, it's good to finally be able to join you guys.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
We lost our guest. That's amazing. Isn't that something? Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So, PD, you are the second person in.
Mhm.
And what's up with you today, sir?
Not much. Can't wait to talk with our guest once we get him back. And
Yeah.
we're gonna have a great show. Fun
That
time.
sounds good. That sounds good. He's back now, but we're going to bring him in a minute. What's up, Seth Walker? How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. It's kind of cloudy in the Detroit area right now, but I'm doing good. Excited to have Mr. Barnes on our show today.
It's going to be amazing. There's some stories, man. Oh, we're going to love this show. It's going to be really, really good. Now we're going to introduce the man of the hour, Ryan Barnes. What's up, man?
Hey guys, appreciate you having me on this beautiful Saturday afternoon on Labor Day. But how you guys doing?
Amazing. I have such a good time because I've watched hockey since I was 6 years old, going down to the LC Walker Arena, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Absolutely.
Now they changed that name.
Absolutely. Very familiar.
Very familiar.
They did. Mercy Health Arena now, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed it. I hate them people.
I know.
That's terrible. Okay, we're going to go through some questions, and then we'll have some questions from the audience. So here's the first one. And so looking back on your career, what were the highlights? Tell us some of your favorite moments in your career. No matter where it was, doesn't matter. Tell us what the favorite moments were.
Obviously, a special moment for a kid that grew up in a small town in Ontario, Dunnville, Ontario. Is playing your first NHL game was at Joe Louis. That was a terrific moment, and that kind of the I got to play in the NHL moment, and the really neat story with that and cool story with that was there's another player from Dunnville, Nathan Horton, who's 5 years younger than me. We happened to be playing against Florida, so one of my childhood best friends from kindergarten was actually coming to the game anyway, and it was a surprise when he saw me out there for warm up. It wasn't planned. It was kind of a last minute call up for that first game, and he happened to be in the building that night, and obviously enjoying that with my wife and my childhood kindergarten best friend. That was pretty cool.
Oh God, that's a great story. Isn't that amazing how everything just kind of lined up for you at that time? That's really, really cool.
Yeah,
love hearing that, man.
It was
I
terrific.
really did. All right, Tim, you want to take the next one?
Okay. Drafted by the Red Wings 55th overall. Did that put more pressure on you?
Not really. I mean, it's an honor. Now working in the sports industry after a playing career, it's an honor to be drafted in any round, and obviously back then when there was when the Wings were in their heyday, it was an honor to be around that and involved with that organization and around. But I wasn't really expected to go that high in the draft, to be honest. I think I was rated by Central Scouting in like the 5th round, and it was one of those things. I actually didn't even attend the draft because I thought I might go a little bit later, and maybe there was even a chance that I would go undrafted. You never know. So at the time, I didn't even attend the draft. So it was more of a surprise, I guess, when I was 18, and obviously family was thrilled, and so not necessarily added pressure, just a surprise. Like, wow, this great organization thinks that of me, that they selected me in that particular spot.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, PD.
All right. What was your favorite team to play for?
Probably, obviously, the natural answer would be the Red Wings. I mean, although it wasn't for a very long time, that was an original 6, NHL team. With putting on that jersey was always a special feeling. But definitely Grand Rapids. My wife is from Grand Rapids.
Oh, wow.
We had a couple real good playoff runs. We lost in the Western Conference Final one year, Game 7 at home against Houston Aeros. Still to this day have many close friends from that team, you know, and business associates from that team that we played with, and it was just that was pretty special to be involved with the Griffins organization as well.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Seth.
Well, Ron, you just mentioned a little bit about your time in Grand Rapids. What else would you want to tell us about your time with the Griffins?
I mean, it's just that Grand Rapids is a great city. You know, great people. Obviously, as I mentioned, I met my wife my very first few months that I was in Grand Rapids, and obviously we've got you know, two boys. My oldest will be 17 in the fall, and my younger boy just turned 13. So yeah, I mean, Grand Rapids is a special to my heart. Great, like I said, great organizations, you know, incredible ownership with the DeVos and Van Andel family. And like I said, they always have success there in minor leagues. And it's nice to see that they finally, you know, in the last, I guess, 5 or 6 years, have won the Calder Cup championship. And like I said, a lot of good friends, actually. The equipment manager, Brad Dog Thompson there, just came to Plymouth to play golf with me last Sunday, so he's kind of a Grand Rapids legend with Brad. But yeah, it's a great town.
Yeah, it is. I'm only 45 minutes away from there, but you know that, I'm pretty sure. I have to ask you this, and I'm going to ask a few questions on this. But you're playing in Danbury with the Danbury Trashers.
Yep.
I love the marketing, by the way. The bus was amazing, where it says "Always Talking Trash." What do you remember about that organization? And if you want to talk about some of the other things that were going on there, that's fine too. But
like, no, it was a unique. They kind of came into professional hockey with a bang. That's for sure. And the first year when they came in was during the 04-05 lockout. So they had, you know, a ton of NHL players that were there, and especially loved having their, you know, their NHL heavyweights there. So when I played in Denver, it was the second year where, you know, hockey was back to normal per se. But again, the Galante family owned it. I know there's, you know, there's articles on ESPN, and I think they're trying to make it a movie. What I've heard, and you know, I've talked to some former players from that team, seen them in the ranks, and I personally haven't been interviewed or talked to for some of the research for the movie, but it sounds like they're going to turn the 2 years of the Trashers' existence into a movie. So that would be be awesome and entertaining.
Kind of would be
for sure.
Did you guys? I mean, did you guys know what was going on there?
And I mean, the fans,
in fact, maybe we should tell people, because
there,
I don't think they knew.
Hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the fans in section 102 is like, this is not a family section. It's like, we're going after the other team's coach. So it was quite the atmosphere, and quite the vulgar place to play on the road when you came to play in Danbury. And I know we were talking before the show started, like, of some of the my favorite moments, are kind of like what the heck moments there. And we were playing Adirondack, which was a rival team, and we brought back, got a retirement, Frank Bialos, who is, you know, a minor league, you know, if he's got to be top 5 in minor league penalty minutes of all time, and enforcer, and he's got the long hair, you know, and kind of does look like the Undertaker. So whatever the player was, I can't remember who it was from Adirondack, but they put his face on the Jumbotron the entire warm-up, and then like a split screen of Frank Bialos is like highlight film mixed in with a little Undertaker music and some Undertaker highlights of him coming out of the coffin. That was just in warm-up, and that was kind of the marketing
amazing.
that they had. It was
it's just amazing.
It
Your
it was
team
quite
was
unique.
more-
It was a little mix of WWE with professional hockey.
Kind of like it actually, but I mean, I miss those days to be quite honest. But it's your team was really very, very physical. I remember we hated you, and not to be rude, but and we'll get to another portion of your career later here. But when you were there, man, we hated you. We played for the Muskegon Fury, and it was rough as a fan to watch that stuff sometimes. What were your memories of how?
Yeah, no, it was that was the brand that was the brand that they like to play, and obviously there was, the year that I played there was some pretty skilled players there too.
Oh yeah.
For that level, but that was certainly the Bad Boys brand that the Galante family and ownership they like to employ.
I bet. Yeah, for those people that don't know what was going on behind the scenes there, do you have any knowledge of what was? I mean, there was talk that the owners were in the mafia or something. I don't remember the whole thing either. I know they did some stories on it. What do you recall about that time?
I mean, people can. I think if people have time to go down an internet rabbit hole, you can Google Danbury Trashers ownership and hockey, and you'll spend. And if you're a hockey fan and interested in that, you can certainly give yourself kill a couple hours with some of the research that you'll do and video and some of the pieces that are out there. But from my experience there and our family's experience, the Galantes were first class people.
That's cool.
Donated to many charities in the community, treated us like one of their own. The special things that they would do for Christmas and Thanksgiving and just the way that they treated your family, it was a first class experience.
That's good to hear. No, it is. It's very good to hear. Next question I'm going to take too, because it's my thing. So Muskegon Fury. I'm from Muskegon. Tim here's from Muskegon. I've been down to LC Walk Arena since I was 6. They're near and dear to my heart, and I grew up watching them. What do you remember about that organization, the city, the people, all that type of thing?
Playing in Muskegon, it was that was my last year I played.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Okay. There's some wind.
Yeah, you can hear you.
Yeah, playing in Muskegon, that was my last year of professional hockey, which was kind of bittersweet. Like I had a couple injuries that year, but there's some just great people that I got to spend time with. Actually, my cousin Scott Barnes, I kind of worked that into the deal to Scott had played professional for a few years, like at that AA level. So we were kind of planning on playing that season together, and kind of I got hurt early on. He got hurt a little bit later, so we ended up only playing a couple games together. But just some of the people that were involved, like with Bruce Ramsey,
he was
Dave Van Drunen, who was an old teammate, and with the Griffins who played there. And again, just the fans, the people of Muskegon, they love their Fury Lumberjacks. That's what made it really fun to play in Muskegon, and obviously being close again back in the West Michigan area. Just have a lot of friends and family around there, so it was a good experience. We I think we lost Game 7 at home to Kalamazoo that year, which was a bit of a heartbreaker, but it was. I love it. It's near and dear to my heart. Actually, my son, my oldest son, is drafted by the Muskegon Lumberjacks in the USHL. So that was pretty special for me to head back to LC Walker last year. He got to play in the home opener last year for the Lumberjacks. So,
cool.
And he's trying to make that team, whether it's this season or the following season. Like that's his goal, is to play for the Jacks here shortly too. So like I said, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, that those franchises, they're very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I really appreciate you talking about that, because near and dear to my heart too. And Rammer was a heck of a coach, a pretty good player in his day too, kind of an enforcer type. So I kind of enjoyed those type of
Entertaining. He's an entertaining player. That's for sure. One of
He really was.
he was a tough customer for sure, and
play with
just a
Rob-
great
play with,
guy.
Did you play with Robin Bouchard?
I did. What a great, arguably one of the best goal scorers around, like for the the AA professional level. I think he holds the record, I believe.
Does.
And just a great shot, and yeah, I mean, just he's a gamer. Like, just loved to score goals and loved to win, and obviously him and Todd Robinson were a big reason why that franchise had so much success. And I mean, how many? You would probably know. You would know better than me, but just how many coaches got their start in Muskegon and really blossomed into NHL coaches.
That's true as well. I mean, there was Todd Nelson
rolling with the Dallas Stars in the NHL playoffs. So So
yeah, I remember Nelson used to play for us too.
Yeah, he did
before he was coaching. But we're just going to talk back and forth about our own memories when we keep going on, which I don't mind, by the way. I mean,
no, it's all good.
It really is. So, Tim, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, okay. You had a nice run in Grand Rapids with the Griffins. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, we obviously, I brought it up a little bit earlier. We that was one of my most fun years playing hockey just with that team. We just had Danton Cole, who's now at Michigan State, was the head coach, and he did a great job with the players that we had. Just again, I really just enjoyed our teammates. Learned a lot myself that year, and again, it was just fun being in the trenches, being in the battles of playoffs. I mean, that's watching the NHL playoffs going on right now. Like, it's just one of those are the best memories from playing, and just like I said, just the friendships that you make. Spending time with each other in the locker room, joking around, having fun, and being on the road together, having dinners, and you never forget those things. And then obviously, just when you're putting your body on the line and trying to do everything you can to help the team win, like, you never forget those guys. And that was certainly a memorable time when we lost to Houston Game 7 at home, packed Van Andel Arena.
What is that? 2 Game 7s? Dang.
Yeah, I know.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, obviously the end result was not what you want, but I mean, it's just so much fun. Like, when the weather's nice and you're going to the rink, and the city and the workers around the rink have a buzz about what's going on, and it's there's really nothing like playoff hockey. And I mean, that's one of the regrets that I never got to play or be around like an NHL playoff series. But I'm fascinated by it, just like now, like, just with the players that we represent, just how much they love it, and I kind of live vicariously through them as far as those experiences. And that's there's nothing like playoff hockey.
No, there isn't. I grew up on it, so it's so much different than it is now. PD, you have the next question?
All right, yeah, sure thing. You played 2 games as the Detroit Red Wing. I guess, do you think you'd be willing to tell us what you thought of that organization? Any good stories? I mean, I know it was
I touched on like just my first game. I actually was I was finished up a hard workout after practice in Grand Rapids, and I was on my way home, and I got the call from Detroit, and it's like, can you be there for 5:00 tonight? And I was like, zipped home, zipped back to the rink, got my stuff, got my suit on, and my wife and I drove down to Detroit to play that first game. And like I said, it was obviously, it's always memorable playing in your first NHL game, kind of that, I made it type of moment that every, young kid dreams about. And, the special thing too, just for me personally, like, the game sheet, Joe Kosher gave me the game sheet after the game. And,
cool.
It's just fun to sit around with your family and friends when you're, whether it's Christmas or just when you have some close friends over. I think in that game sheet, there's nine Hall of Famers in the lineup
Wow.
that I got to play alongside for that particular game with, with Steve Yzerman, Fedorov, Shanahan, Chelios, Lidstrom, Hasek was a goalie.
Wow.
Larry, I'm missing guys. Brett Hall. That's the group of players that I got to play with there.
Awesome.
That was my first game, and then I was just up and down that first night, and then the next part of it was obviously when I went back down, I played pretty well and got a chance to get called up again. And the next time I was up, I was fortunate enough to make the California road trip with the Wings, and kind of went on the road for 10 days and was up for a bunch of games and got in Anaheim and didn't play much in that game. But again, Joe Kosher was a guy that made sure he got me in later on in the game to get that second game in Anaheim. But like I said, just the experience being around those guys and it's it can't, it's just you're almost, like obviously they're awesome people. They treat you the right way, but you're almost in awe a little bit too when you look back at it. It's like, wow, I play with those guys.
That's Seth. You got another question?
Ron, you just mentioned Joe Kosar, who, of course, in his day was one of the game's great fighters, one of the great enforcers. So, with that in mind, what are your thoughts on how much hockey has changed since then, in terms of how fighting is, kind of being frowned upon now, and enforcers not really being part of? Yeah.
I mean, that's an era that I grew up watching. Ty Domi and Bob Probert have the big build up, and obviously Joe is one of the most feared guys in the NHL.
Stu Grimson's one guy that comes to mind too.
The Grim Reaper, like that. Those were, and even like with the Leafs, with like I said, with Domi and guys like Wendell Clark. They could play, and those guys could play, and they could also fight. That's the era I was brought up on. I did what I had to do to protect my teammates and just try to find a role so I could make it. So obviously I did enough of it in my career as well. At the end of the day, I think with the research that we are finding, like, is it probably the right curb as much as entertainment wise, it's probably the right for that. Like, I think some of the junior leagues that have curbed it were curb fighting a little bit, where they're protecting the younger players. But when you get to the professional level, you choose to sign that contract, you choose to enter that arena. Like, it's a little disappointing. The NHL is trying to frown and push those enforcers out of the league, because I know the top players, they like playing with guys that make them feel protected, and sometimes they don't have to deal with, antagonists and extra cheap shots, because they know they're going to have to answer to certain players. Like, even when Washington won the Stanley Cup, Tom Wilson, he can play in your first line, but he also is a guy that you don't want to mess with. So, so it's not, all the way out of the game, but it's, there's less and less. Like, if you're, there's enough players in the game that can still fight, but they're not, that's not their only role anymore.
I noticed kind of a European style taking over more than the North American style, with the Russians coming over and a lot of the European goalies, players and stuff like that. I think that's some of what happened, because we used to have, especially in IHL, UHL, all that stuff, we had a lot of stick work, and you had a lot of butt ending and things like that, and just things that you don't see today anymore. I think a lot of it has changed because of the fact that I think the play has changed. Do you see that, or is that just?
I think obviously the buzzword and hot word, like the analytics is being part of some of the decision making and roster personnel decisions, and and I think there's still like the purists or the old school hockey guys, like, that that still like to dump it in and get it deep, and wear the other team's D down on the forecheck. And I think you're seeing that a little bit more. Like, obviously St. Louis was that type of team that won the Stanley Cup last year. So I think there's still there's still a part of it, but I think there is more emphasis, like with more analytics and numbers being available to people. There's just different concepts now with coaching where, trying to carry the puck in more and create more offense with, rather than dumping it in, carrying it in, type of information that's available to people to make decisions on rosters and coaches.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense too. It really does. We talked about a little bit about the rough stuff, and you didn't mind dropping the gloves, I don't think. And tell me what is it like to be in that role rather than like a goal scorer road role? You know what I mean? The chippy type of player.
I mean, it's like growing up as a kid. Like I was always like I'm a January birthday, so I was always a bigger kid. But I think every year up until I was probably 14 or 15, I played junior at 15. I was, one of, if not the leader in points and scoring for my team. So it was something that I kind of, evolved in part of my game because obviously I was a good player growing up. And then when you get to junior, you have to add different dimensions to your game to stick around or, get more ice time. So I think I, had my first fight in like Bantam hockey, and I, kid's helmet popped off and mine popped off, and I did pretty good. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm pretty good at this, and and even at that point, I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn as well. I went to junior and met different people along the way that give you tips, whether it was teammates or whether some of the people off the ice where they're boxing coaches or even that's when UFC started getting big, so different guys started working with boxing and UFC coaches, so learned some things along the way to know how to protect myself and use those skills to protect my teammates, and I do think there is something for if somebody takes a liberty on your teammate, you want to be there to stick up for them and make sure it doesn't happen again. And sometimes it's, you have from my experience, you have a Van Andel arena on a Friday night that's got 8,000, 9,000 people at the game. And, a fight gets a little excitement and kind of can change the momentum of a game and get, provide a little spark for the fans and for the boys on the team. So, it was something that I embraced. And again, it's when you're fighting some of the guys in the American League, you better know what you're doing because it's a dangerous living. Like some of the guys that I tangled with back in the day.
So who were some of those guys? I mean, I remember Robin Big Snake was a guy I remember.
He was a guy like Rocky Thompson. He was a guy. He's actually San Jose just hired him in the NHL.
Nice.
As an assistant coach, but he's he won the Memorial Cup in Windsor as a coach. So he's an up and coming coach, but he was a tough guy, like wore the Breathe Right Band-Aid over his nose and had the old Jofa bucket. Like he's just ready to hurt
ready to go
before the game. So I tangled with him a couple times and even Derek Bugard. We played Houston a lot with Grand Rapids. So tangled with Derek Bugard a couple times, which God rest his soul. But he was a tough customer. So those are just a couple off the top of my head. But I mean, like I said, you certainly got to know what you're doing to not get hurt. And for the most part, I thought I was probably more successful than not. And I was able to feeling 40 years old now, and I think I had in pro maybe 100 and something fights. So I feel great, and so I was able to protect myself. I met some people along the way that were able to help me with that. But I really think that's part of the fighters got so good, like in that 05 to 08 or 05 to 2, like the fighters got so good because they were training like with UFC coaches off the ice instead of like those days of like Proby and like those guys were those guys could fight and they're tough as anybody. But like now you're getting guys that were like 6'5" that learn how to punch from the best coaches in the world, and every time there's a hockey fight, somebody would break their orbital bone or break their cheek, and it was not, it just, so I can see why they curbed it. Instead of just being a hockey player that was a good fighter, guys were training to be great fighters. And I think that was a scary thing to see when you got a 6'4" guy get, knocked unconscious with one shot,
Yeah, it is. And to me, it's sad because I think it was one of the most exciting parts of the game. I don't know if you remember this player, but we used to have a guy named Andy Bezo. Do you ever heard of him?
Yeah, definitely heard of him. And, yeah, exciting to watch.
Yeah, he would skate from one side to the other just to hit somebody. He was nuts, man. Lots of fun to watch. Okay, PD, you got the next question here, and go ahead.
All right. I guess my question for you is, who do you think are the 5 greatest hockey players of all time, in your personal opinion?
I've got to go. Obviously I grew up in the era, like, personally, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux. I got to say Paul Coffey. I love watching him play. And if he found out that I didn't mention him,
you're kind of breaking up on us. I don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing a lot of.
No, we lost him.
I was liking the list so far, though.
I was liking it too. Hopefully we can get him back very momentarily.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so yeah, so like I was saying, I really liked was liking the list so far. I was pleasantly surprised that he mentioned Coffey, because most people would say, for defenseman, Bobby Orr.
Yeah, no, I was digging what was going on as well. Jim looks frozen. Are you there, Jim?
It's our internet is what's going on.
Okay. Uh-oh.
All right.
This is not good.
No, it's not
good.
This
is taking a very interesting turn, ladies and gentlemen. So, oh my gosh.
It's okay. They'll get it fixed in a second. No, you know what? For the meantime, Seth, who are your top 5 Red Wings of all time? Or not Red Wings. Who do you think the top 5 hockey players of all time are?
Well, I'd have to go with Ryan. My top 2 would be Gritz. I'd definitely have to add Gretzky and Lemieux. Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey, because of his longevity and his excellence throughout, the 26 seasons.
Oh, that's what.
Okay. We're getting
so,
back.
Hey guys.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Jim.
I got you.
Now, Ryan, before you cut off, you
can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Jim. Yeah, Jim, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was saying that before Ryan got off, you were mentioning.
Yeah, sorry, we lost internet here. That's what happened.
Okay,
Ryan, we're having terrible internet.
Jim, can you hear me? Because I was trying to talk.
Yeah, I can hear you just now.
Yeah, I was mentioning that Ryan, so far before he went off the air, he had mentioned Gretzky, Lemieux, and Coffey, so that was 3.
I'm at 3 right now.
Yes.
And again, personal favorites. Obviously, I'm biased, but I got to go Steve Yzerman and Nick Lidstrom too.
Oh, I actually like this list a lot.
I like that.
I like that list.
Good choice.
Yeah, I love it. It went different. Definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but I like listening to people's top 5s. It's always, I don't know why, it just always intrigues me. But yeah,
because there's so many different ones out there.
Yeah.
Seth, your turn to ask a question. Sorry about that. We lost internet for a minute. I don't know what happened, but it happens around here sometimes.
All good.
All right, Ryan. I know that for a while you coached at Peterborough for a few years back. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so after my playing career, I always thought about coaching afterwards, and so quickly I got into coaching. I coached 1 year of junior B, where I grew up in the Niagara area. And then obviously the Peterborough Petes of the OHL were looking for an assistant coach. So I ended up taking a job with Peterborough, and thought, that it was awesome. Like, the people there were great. And then after 2 seasons, a change of management, and obviously didn't have my contract renewed. And I was like, had 2 young boys at the time, and as we kind of did it as a player, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be dragging my family all over North America chasing down a coaching dream. And as great as coaching is, and as close as it is to playing, I kind of took some time to figure out what I wanted to do. And I obviously have a strong passion for the game of hockey. And I'd met some people and landed on working in the agent business. So,
nice.
So I've been working in the agent business for about 7 years now. I currently work for Cortex Management out of Montreal, and represent, like I said, some of the biggest stars in the NHL today. And obviously I'm actually driving home from Fort Wayne, Indiana right now. I watched some of the up and coming guys that are 15 years old and out of Michigan that were playing down there. So I from everything from recruitment, development, management, contract negotiation, with our current clients we have with Cortex Management.
That sounds so interesting. Can you say any of the players' names or no?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to our Cortex website. I mean, you can see our staff that we have that handles the players, but like Taylor Hall, who's
cool.
one of the biggest names for the unrestricted free agent coming up here.
Yep.
Mitch Marner, Chris Letang.
Wow.
Are you still with us? Are you still with us, Ryan?
In Montreal. Philip Zadina with the Red Wings, Andreas Athanasiou. So, and those are just a few of our company's clients and some of the players that I work with. And yeah.
It sounds amazing. I'm happy that you came on with us, man. I really appreciate your time, because I know it's valuable, and you didn't have to do this.
I appreciate you guys having me on. And sometimes if you ever want me on another time, let me know. And you want to talk about any topics, I'd be happy to. Like I said, hockey is a passion of mine in sports. So, but again, appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Well, we are having really bad technical difficulties, so I'm going to go, and we thank you, Ryan, and we appreciate you being here. We're going to end the show now because everything is kind of going pretty crazy right now. So what we do is we go through everybody's final thoughts for the day, and I'm going to start with you, Ryan, so we can get you out of here. Just anything that you want to tell the people out there about what you're doing or anything like that. We call it final thoughts.
Yeah, just obviously, with the pandemic we're still currently in, just thankful that there's my family and our clients are healthy and happy, and hopefully we can all get through this together. And it's nice to have NHL playoffs back on TV, and
yes,
rinks are opening up back in Michigan, and have a sense of optimism that we can get back to what we call it normal real soon here. So thanks again.
Really appreciate you, man. All right, Tim, final thoughts.
Okay, well, it was great having you on. Thanks for coming. And once again, I do want to second that. I want this pandemic for us to get through that, and it's really great to be having sports back again, because we really need to get back to the normalness in life.
Yeah, we do. PD, final thoughts, man.
Just thanks, Ryan, for coming on. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And I don't know, I can't put into words how thankful I personally am that you came on and did this. Like, it really does mean a lot. Your insight was great. I loved every one of your answers, and yeah, thank you a bunch for doing this for us.
Anytime, guys.
All right, Seth, you're going to take us home, man.
Well, Ryan, thanks for spending some time with us today. And of course, when we have guests, you never know what you're going to get. You even got a nice Undertaker reference out of the story. Me being a big WWE fan myself, I'm actually only a couple of years younger than you, even though I don't look that old. But yeah, so I grew up on Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and even guys like The Rock. So I'm very familiar with the Undertaker. So I appreciate the reference. And so always feel free to join us again. You heard it from me, Seth Walker.
All right, everybody.
Will do, guys.
Go
Have
ahead.
a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. That's the show for today, and we really appreciate everybody being on and coming on with us today. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what happened to the internet, but as it happens, sometimes things just don't go your way. So, all righty. Thank you, everybody, and we're out.